Good evening, viewers and listeners of Concerned Citizens Media. Thank you again for coming back. I always appreciate your presence. Today is November 28, 2022. I have several news to share with you. Today I will start uh, with a test of World Cup, a match between Ghana and South Korea, just for a little bit, just to see, the taste of Qatar 2022. So uh, Cameroon, uh, you know, played with Serbia. I think that's also, I think it's 3-3. I'm not sure, but let me see. Yes, Cameroon versus Serbia finished 3-3. That's how it's very interesting. So Cameroon is still in the World Cup. It's not eliminated. So let's see how Ghanaians are doing. This is just a replay to share a little bit about World Cup, Qatar World Cup 2022, and then I will go to other news. Thank you again. Let's test. Let's see the test of World Cup 2022, Ghana versus South Korea. Just a little bit. Apologies. Come on.
Because this one.
There we go.
Player you played against, of course, back in 2002, as we were saying. Did you swap shirts with him? He might have his shirt at home.
You know, I may. I've got a bin with a bunch of jerseys. I don't go through it, but I have this weird feeling that I've seen his last name on my shirt, or on a shirt before. So could be.
You'll have to.
So it's sometimes interesting. It's good to start with a positive news, good news. So with something entertaining, is if possible, if there is no terrorist attack, if there is no coming back. Let's hear. This is in Amharic, the same thing is Ethiopia is delivering.
በዛሬው ዕለት ሰብአዊ ድጋፉን የጫኑ ከባድ ተሽከርካሪዎች ወደ ክልሉ ጉዞ የጀመሩ ሲሆን በዚህም 1500 ኩንታል የስንዴ ዱቄት፣ 6000 ሊትር ዘይት፣ 150 ኩንታል ባቄላ ወደ ስፍራው በመጓጓዝ ላይ ይገኛል።
We need to be able to scale up our work to help all those in need. In addition, Ethiopia is experiencing a historic drought, and in the Bale zone of Oromia and the Liban zone of the Somali region, there is an ongoing cholera outbreak. Nearly 500 people have been impacted, including 20 deaths. Hundreds of thousands more remain at risk. We, along with our humanitarian partners, are providing health and water and sanitation.
The genocide, the ongoing genocide by Fano armed militia, with the recognition, with the knowledge of the regional government plus the federal government. So the Oromos have no protection under the current system. So we appreciate plus under this embargo, Abiy Ahmed embargo, plus the Eritrean forces. So it's interesting to hear from the residents of Tigray. It's a very tough experience, very tough experience. I wish I will have, opportunity to talk to these people and how they survived, how they cope with all kind of embargoes. So now the aid is flowing, but it's not enough. According to United Nations, more is needed, and I hope they will get it very soon. So plus the Eritreans are still there, still killing Tigrayans, still looting their properties. And I hope the day will come when they will be responsible for what they are doing in Tigray. Now everyone is talking about the silencing of gun. Silencing of gun must be followed by accountability. That's the take of Concerned Citizens Media. Thank you. Let me read a couple of other news and come back to one video. I think that's one or two videos. And the Amara region is also holding the 6th round of General Assembly to discuss the war, to discuss the new appointments for the region, the impact of war. They are having a 2-day general meeting. So this one is, I have several news from Addis Standard. That's my resource for English news. I always appreciate Addis Standard. They are my main source of news from Ethiopia, what is happening in Ethiopia. Tigrayan officials accuses Eritrean forces of summarily executing civilians, calls on federal government for protection. Getachew Reda, spokesperson for the Tigray People's Liberation Front, TPLF, and a member Tigrayan Peace Talks delegation, said Eritrean forces have continued killing civilians, including children and women, while the Tigrayan forces are carrying out disengagement as agreed in the Pretoria-Nairobi Peace Pact. Eritrean forces are still killing civilians, ransacking, destroying, and looting property at will. In May, Abbey last week, they were summarily executed hundreds of women and children, Getachew tweeted on Sunday. It is the latest in a continuous accusation of atrocities put forward by Tigrayan officials against Eritrean forces since the peace agreement was first reached in South Africa on 2nd November. Earlier on Sunday, citing eyewitnesses and aid workers, the AP reported that allies of Ethiopia's federal military are looting property and carrying out mass detention in Tigray. Eritrean troops and forces from the neighboring Ethiopian region of Amara, who have been fighting on the sides of Ethiopia's federal military in the Tigray conflict, have looted businesses, private properties, vehicles, and health clinics in Shire, a northwestern town that was captured from Tigray forces last month, the AP News said, adding that civilians accused of aiding Tigray forces are also being detained in the southern Tigray town of Alamata. A statement from the regional state issued on 19 November accused Eritrean forces of committing crimes against humanity, looting properties belonging to individual and religious institutions. On the same day, footage aired on the regional media Tigray TV also showed dead bodies scattered on the ground, which it said were some of 63 civilians victims, including 10 children killed by Eritrean forces in Egala, central Tigray. The regional Tigray TV also reported Sunday on continued heavy shelling of the Arab district in eastern Tigray by Eritrean forces despite the peace deal. It is obvious that the Eritreans have no appetite for any peaceful arrangement between the central government and the Tigray, as it would stand in the way of their nefarious plans in the Horn. The question is, will our partner for peace in Addis do their part of the deal to protect civilians and to do whatever it takes to convince the external and non-Ethiopian National Defense Force to leave Tigray. It is our hope and expectation that they discharge their part of the deal, Getachew said. Commander of the Tigrayan combatant, Lieutenant General Taddese Warede, in his latest interview with Tigray TV, said implementation of the peace agreement has commenced from the Tigrayan side. He added that disarmament of heavy weapons by the Tigrayan combatant is linked to Eritrean and Amara forces withdrawal from the Tigray region. Olusegun Obasanjo, High Representative of the AU to the Horn of Africa and the chief peace negotiator between Ethiopian government and the Tigrayan authorities, while visiting Mekelle, capital of Tigray region on 24 November, told the senior leadership of the regional state that no country should accept the presence of foreign country on its land, pointing out that his visit aims to determine how issues including the issues of foreign troops can be settled best. Responding to a tweet by U.S. Department's Bureau of African Affairs that welcomed Obasanjo's visit to Tigray and his subsequent statement about the unwanted presence of foreign troops, Eritrea's Ministry of Information, Yemane Gebremesqel, tweeted, defense architectures between sovereign African states is not subject to prior endorsement or veto by extraneous powers. Under disarmament of Tigray armed combatant of the Declaration of the Executive Plan, point 2.1d, it is stated that disarmament of heavy weapons will be done concurrently with the withdrawal of foreign and non-Ethiopian National Defense Forces from the region. The federal government did not comment on the accusation of the atrocities being committed by Eritrean forces, nor is there report on the status of their withdrawal from the Tigray region. Addis Standard's effort to get comments from both the federal government communication service and Ethiopian National Defense Force were unsuccessful. Public relations head of the Ethiopian National Defense Force, Colonel Getinet Adane, refrained from commenting on the issue and said that we should wait for official statement. So Eritreans are defense and still committing atrocities in Tigray. And as I said, they're just waiting. They're just waiting for some kind of force, not sanction, but some kind of force to force them out. Abiy Ahmed still didn't officially ask them to leave the country. No. So that's why they are just continue their atrocities against the people of Tigray, and plus all these Fano militia and Amara militia still in Tigray. So this is a tweet from United States State Department for African Affairs. Let me read what it says. On northern Ethiopia, U.S. welcomes Obasanjo's 11/24 visit to Tigray to discuss implementation of the peace process, noting as discussed in the Pretoria and Nairobi that the issue of foreign troops, no country should accept the presence of a foreign country on its land, and we support African Union and Obasanjo's focus on issues of human rights and how to get them all settled so that peace, security, stability, progress, and the welfare and the well-being of all the people of Ethiopia can be ensured. So that is from U.S. State Department of African Affairs Bureau, and giving its take on Obasanjo's visit to Tigray and the foreign force. So why they scare saying by name. One Twitter, I think Sarah reacted to this by saying like this, replying to Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs and African Union. No country should accept the presence of a foreign country on its land, she said. About which country is he talking about? Why is it difficult to say hashtag Eritrean troops go out of Tigray? Eritrean troops to stop killing civilians and looting Tigrayan properties. Why is AU, UN, US afraid to say that? Yes, it's a legitimate question, and they should not go around. They know who is there, which foreign country troops and which forces are there. So they have to call it by name, and instead of going around. So I don't know what they're scared of. This one is about university teachers threatening indefinite strikes over pending demands. This in Ethiopia. Last time also I reported on this. Now they are maybe ready to strike. Let me read what it says. This again from Credit Brooke Alamu of Addis Standard. Thank you, Brooke Alamu. Teachers and their technical assistants working in all Ethiopian universities have written a letter to the Ministry of Education and the House of People's Representatives announcing that they will go on strike for an indefinite period of time starting thereafter December 2022. The letter says the university's instructors demand for improvement on starting salary, getting tax-free house rent, improvement on the amount of third-degree research funds, overtime payment, and other benefits have been ignored by the government. University instructors who spoke to Addis Standard on the matter said they decided to go on a strike as a result of their demands, which were not answered. It was in a letter sent to the Ministry of Education and high-level government institutions on 3rd August that University Teachers Association, which numbers around 40,000 teachers, stated a list of demands including salary raises, promotions, housing, life insurance, credit mechanisms, and cautioned that if their questions were not answered by 11 September, the teachers would enact their own measures. Fikrasillase Akalu, the president of Asosa University Teachers Association, told Addis Standard that the instructors and their technical assistants reached at a consensus after they have held discussion and agreed to stop work. Tilahun Ragga, an instructor at Wallagga University, says it is not possible to cope with the high cost of living in the country due to the low salary of university instructors. He said that the net salary of an instructor with a postgraduate degree is only 8,500 birr. 8,500 birr. That means it's around what? 8,000 is $100 a month. Having the demand actually is less than $100 because $100 is now is about 9,000 plus Ethiopian birr. Having the demands of the professors and their technical assistants ignored, the government is causing a great impact on the quality of education, Talaun told Addis Standard. He added, all Waldia University instructors are ready to stop work. An instructor at Dilla University, who preferred to remain anonymous, on his part said that instructors at all universities have consulted and selected a group that represent them to push for their rights. According to the letter sent to the Ministry of Education and the House of People's Representatives, the strike is planned for an indefinite period of time. The teachers said the government's failure to address the demands of university teachers clearly shows that very little attention is given to the quality of education. Previously, the professors have made clear that they would take their own measures if the government fails to respond to their questions until last September. At the time, Johannes Benti, PhD, president of University Teachers Association, told Addis Standard that questions were presented to Ministry of Education and other government offices, and some of them got responses. Addis Standard attempts to speak with Amalework Hezekiel, public relations head of Ministry of Education, who declined to comment on the matter after hearing what we have to ask. Okay, so that is university teachers ready to strike indefinitely, or I don't know, until their demands are met. But I don't think Abiy Ahmed will share the money he imported through cargoes. Last time it was 360 reported. So they should share that money. Where all that money go? I have this. Let me see. Police, this is about, I think, corruption, fighting corruption in Ethiopia. Police in pursuit of 5 Addis Ababa city officials suspected of land grab, grand corruption. Addis Ababa police says 5 senior officials, land management office of Lemmi Kura sub-city are on the run and being sought by law as part of government's anti-corruption crackdown. Really? Okay. According to police, head of land management office, Habiba Umar, her deputy, Tesfaye Girma, land management officers, Bekalu Sadiq and Chamdesa Fulia, as well as Lul Terfe, who was chief executive of Warada 4 of Lemmi Kura sub-city, went on hiding. According to, police said the individuals are wanted on suspicion of crimes of misusing their power to prepare fake documents and carry out grand theft of government and public land. It called on the public to give information on the whereabouts of the suspect. Speaking to state broadcaster Adanech Abibe, mayor of Addis Ababa, however, hinted that Habiba Umar, head of land management office of the Lemmi Kura sub-city, who is on top of police list, may have fled the country already. The mayor spoke in length about difficulties the city administration is facing in terms of bringing corrupts to court of law in the face of a strong network of corrupts in government structures and a lack of cooperation from the court. Last week, the city administration also said 12 out of 37 individuals suspected of corruption were arrested in Lemikura sub-city. Actually, corruption is endemic, the whole system in Prosperity Party. It begins from the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister is unaccounted for all the money he's spending on, modernizing Addis Ababa, building a new White House. There's nothing wrong with building the White House or modernizing the city, but he should be accounted for. The parliament, the federal court, now they are chasing small apples. They should start from the big apple, the prime minister office. Accountability starts with him. He's saying the parliament cannot control how he's getting the money, how is he spending the money, where the money is coming. So what they're talking about, this one is maybe is a internal fighting by using law and corruption, so they can eliminate those individuals who maybe against the prime minister or don't agree with some kind of thing. So it's not really about fighting corruption. If you want to fight really the problem, you're gonna start with the prime minister office. Give power for the parliament. They should ask him where he is getting the money and how he is spending the money. They should start from there. Then the small apples, can be handled easily. As I said, I reported last time about Ethio 360 about 2 times, 17 cargo planes filled with illegally imprinted Ethiopian money entered Ethiopia. Again, on another day, the same media reported 8 cargoes filled with Ethiopian money illegally entered. So how many cargoes? 25 cargo planes with tons of Ethiopian monetary illegally entered the country. So why they don't share that money to those teachers who are ready to strike? Where this money is going? So this is reported by Ethio 360, citing their resources, not from concerned citizens. I'm just sharing their report. Also, as I said before, verification is needed from international media, usually CNN, BBC, all they are watching before. I don't know what they are doing. Okay, so sorry for some disconnection, maybe shortage of space on my computer. So I'm back. Thank you again. So where is all this money went? Almost 25 cargo plane filled with Ethiopian money entered Ethiopia. And so why the government, why the Ethiopian prime minister is silent on the demand of these Ethiopian university teachers? That's a small money. Why they don't share? This is too much money already. 25 cargoes full of illegally printed money, and it will create problem in the future. It's gonna make Ethiopian money like leaves, or like Zimbabwe money or Somali money. So the parliament, they didn't know about this, or maybe ignored it. We don't know. So, and the international media, they should investigate and say something about this illegally printing and importing money. So This is carried out according to Ethio 360. This is carried out with the knowledge of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, and also with two individuals. One is from National Bank Governor, Ethiopian National Bank Governor, Dr. Yinager Dese, and another doctor, Dr. Eyob Takaling, Minister Data of Finance. So these big individuals, senior officials, they know about this importing of 25 cargo planes with Ethiopian money. So they should investigate. That's why I say the corruption is from the Prime Minister office. Now they are chasing small apples. This is because of some internal political fighting, not about fighting this serious crime. And also Ethio 360 on the November 23, 2022, reported some kind of illegal exporting dollar to foreign countries, taking very limited available resource from that country, with an, again, with the knowledge of the Prime Minister or friends of Prime Minister. The media also mentioned different entities dealing with such kind of corruption, taking the dollar from Ethiopian limited resources and using for private purposes with the knowledge of senior officials. Let me read the names they mentioned, the entities they mentioned dealing with exporting dollar or keeping the dollar from Ethiopia into foreign accounts. One is mentioned, Naho television owners. Another one is oil importers or oil trading companies. Another one is Sunshine Construction owners. They named another person in this one, Sami. They mentioned Sami, the owner of Sunshine Construction companies. Another one is Mr. Israel. This is a company exporting coffee. So this individual exporting coffee and keeping the money, the dollar, in foreign account. So that's why I say corruption in Ethiopia is beyond those city council members. Is a huge problem, and if Parliament is serious about, they should start from the Prime Minister, the Bank of Governors, traders, and the Naho television owners, big Sunshine Construction company owners, others unnamed individuals and the companies who have dealing with the Prime Minister should be investigated if we really want to shut down the corruption in Ethiopia. So the credit is for Ethio 360, and I know other medias didn't talk about and no coverage on this corruption. This one is about US-Africa Leaders Summit. Biden is ready to welcome African leaders, and so that they will not go to China. They want to. That's a big issue. China and Russia. They want to keep them with the United States domain, and that is giving us problem. That's giving us problem in handling corruption or human rights violation or genocide we talk about the last 2 years. That's a challenge. Let me read what it says. President Biden is hosting leaders from across the African continent in Washington, D.C. on December 13 to 15, 2022 for U.S.-Africa Leader Summit. The summit will demonstrate the United States' enduring commitment to Africa and will underscore the importance of U.S.-African relations and increased cooperation on shared global priorities. Yes, we like it. Concerned citizens media like the engagement, the relationship, but not at the expense of human rights violations or other, genocides. We need accountability. What is happening in Oromia? What is happening in Tigray? They should not go for free. Africa will shape the future, not just the future of the African people, but of the world. Africa will make the difference in tackling the most urgent challenge and seizing the opportunities we all face. The US-Africa Leaders Summit will build on our shared values to better okay, so different points are mentioned. What the benefit of Africa-US Summit? About 6 points. I'll read. 1. Foster new economic engagement. Advance peace, security, and good governance. Reinforce commitment to democracy, human rights, and civil society. Work collaboratively to strengthen regional and global health security, promote food security, respond to the climate crisis, amplify diaspora ties, promote education, and use leadership. So these are the benefits. I'm not against all these benefits. I'm not against the relationship between US and African leaders. I am against inviting those criminals, genociders from Ethiopia at this current level. They should be accounted for. But US looks like they are ready to welcome Abiy Ahmed, and the Oromos and others, they should come out to denounce what he did in Ethiopia, what he's doing in Oromia and Amara and Tigray, and in Gurage right now. Gurage is under command post. I think they should come out. Gurage's all concerned citizens, they should come out and protest against Biden for hosting this African summit with Ethiopian leaders from Ethiopia. They say Abiy Ahmed is coming. They should, they should denounce. They should denounce against his coming to United States and enjoy this 2-day meeting. His hand is full of blood. He should be accounted for first before he come and enjoy in the Western countries. So Biden say, I look forward to working with African governments, civil society, diaspora communities across the United States and the private sector to continue strengthening our shared vision for the future of U.S.-Africa relations. Joseph R. Biden, President of the United States, credit U.S. State Department. So it is good, but please don't invite those criminals into this meeting. I know you try to keep them from China and Russia and, keep them under U.S. domain. So that's good strategy, but don't ignore genocide happened in Tigray and the genocide happening in Oromia. That's all I'm going to say. This is about Ambassador at Large Fick's travel to Ethiopia for the meeting. Ethiopia is hosting a global internet meeting. That's also wrong, but what can you do? What can you do? Ethiopia is not supposed to hold such kind of meeting, such global meeting. Ethiopia is, shutting down internet and abusing internet and using just as a tool. So this is just a gift for Ethiopia and for Abiy Ahmed. Let me read. Ambassador at Large for Cyberspace and Digital Policy Nathaniel S. Fick will travel to Addis Ababa, Ethiopia from November 28 to 30, 2022 to attend the 17th Annual Internet Governor Forum, IGF, and meet with African counterparts. Ambassador Fick will speak on high-level panels addressing trust and security, as well as data governance and protecting privacy. He will be joined by policy experts from the State Department's Bureau of Cyberspace and Digital Policy, Bureau of International Organizations Affairs, and the Bureau of African Affairs, as well as other U.S. officials. On the margins of the IGF program, Ambassador Fick and the U.S. government participants will meet with a range of officials, civil society organizations, and other stakeholders to discuss the importance of multi-stakeholders internet governance to support the work of the IGF and to engage on key internet-related public policy issues, including the importance of protecting human rights online and digital freedom around the globe. The United States calls on the government of Ethiopia as the host of this UN Internet Governors meeting to expedite resumptions of telecommunication services, including the internet, in conflict-affected areas as provided in the November 2 cessation of hostilities agreement. While in Addis Ababa, Ambassador Fick will meet with the U.S. mission to the African Union, AU, and engage with other permanent representatives to the AU to underscore the range of cyberspace and digital policy issues of mutual importance to the United States and AU member states. So Ambassador Fick is attending. That's why I say so many countries attending this IGF, Internet Governors Forum in Addis Ababa. It's a victory for Abiy Ahmed for now because they are not supposed to get it after all these violations. So that's all I have for today. Thank you again for taking your time with me. Let's finish the Chinese protest. Chinese are also asking a bold demand on Chinese president, even asking him to step aside or resign. This is a bold move. Let's listen.
As more of China goes into lockdown, frustration continues to build. Weekend demonstrations in Shanghai and other cities reached a scale rarely seen on the mainland.
We want COVID-19 measures based on science.
I think we should go back to normal. We should go back to normal life.
The protest was sparked by the deaths of at least 10 people in an apartment fire in Urumqi. Reports suggest COVID-19 restrictions may have hampered rescue efforts. Authorities deny that's the case. In Hong Kong on Monday, an expression of sympathy and a sign of discontent. In this activism-minded city, there's a feeling of affinity.
This is something that has connected us. Before, during the 2019 protests, many people on the mainland saw us as aggressors and as people who solved problems through violence. Today, I think they see that it's normal for people to come out and say what they want and do what they want.
Well, the protests on the mainland have brought back a lot of memories of the demonstrations that took place here in Hong Kong in 2019, and that's why it's struck a chord for many people here. It's hard to say how many people have turned out for this vigil, but a lot of people have been leaving behind candle lights as a mark of respect for those who died in Urumqi, and also leaving many messages of support for protesters as well.
The protests are putting unprecedented pressure on China's zero-COVID policy. They're among the toughest in the world, with tens of millions of people currently under some form of lockdown. There has been some softening of the rules in certain areas, but overall the government is vowing to stick to its approach.
China has been following the dynamic zero-COVID policy and has been making adjustments based on the reality on the ground. We believe that with the leadership of the Communist Party of China and the cooperation of the Chinese people, our fight against COVID-19 will be successful.
However, a willingness to cooperate may be waning. The crackdown has been swift and decisive. After 3 years of zero COVID, this could be the policy's biggest test yet. Patrick Falk, Al Jazeera, Hong Kong.
Okay. So those are the videos I selected for you for today's update. Thank you again for coming back. Please enjoy the World Soccer Tournament. Try Tubi, T-U-B-I, app to download it and watch the replay. You can't get the live. If you want live, you can use Fox Sports. That may be, there is maybe a fee on that one, but this one is free. You can watch the replay of World Cup Qatar 2022. So that's all I have for today's updates. I will be back with other news and other updates on another time. Thank you for sharing your time. Take care. So long, everyone.